Hmm. Hawkeye here from Hawkeye's House of Horrors, and got my basket here. I'm going to be going out on a trip here, on vacation actually right now. What's that? What's in the basket? Oh, funny you should ask. What do I got in the basket? Well, I've got maps for New York City here, a roll of $1,000 wrapped in elastic. I got tickets to the New York Rangers games, and so yeah, I'm going to do a review today to the horror film from 1982, and that is Basket Case. It was written and directed by Frank Henenlotter. Um, I think, yeah, this was his directorial debut. He went on to do other films, but he actually went on to do the two sequels, Basket Case 2 and Basket Case 3. I will certainly watch those. I have seen them. The first one I really like here. The next two, boy, I'm going to give them another watch, but I didn't really like them. But I will go over those again, watch them, and give you a review for the sequels as well. Now, this one was distributed by Analysis Film Releasing Corporation and Rugged Films. I couldn't get an exact date. I was getting kind of different information. I'll just say it was released in early April 1982. It might have been April 2nd because in my mind, new movies come out on Fridays, and that was a Friday, but um, just getting conflicting information when I'm looking that up. But now this thing is a super low budget classic. And that's kind of where the warm spot in my heart is for this film. It is so low. It had a budget of only $35,000 back in 1982. If you transfer that or look into to today's money, 2025, that would be a budget of only just over $116,000. That is a super low budget film. And I think Henenlotter did an excellent job with the budget that he had in creating this film. Now, I would definitely say there is a bit of repetition within the scenes, perhaps, uh, but it's the strangeness, the eeriness that goes on that really helps the film, and you know, goes against perhaps seeing the same settings over and over again. There aren't a whole lot of them, but yeah, we're talking super low budget film here. So now, originally when this was released, the NPAA slapped an X rating on this film due to the subject matter, the gore, how disturbing it was, perhaps. So they released it unrated, which happened back then. Evil Dead is another example. It was unrated when it was released. One that I've done a review for. Um, Now, this film has some real dorky humor. But you know what? It works. It works in my mind with this kind of low budget or quirky film that it is. That the dorky humor really works in it. Uh, Much like I already just mentioned them, like Evil Dead, it had humor going on, and it really, to me, in my mind, it really works in that film. Now, everybody's not a fan of Evil Dead, but um, interestingly, no, though that may not be the greatest example because in the Evil Dead series, as the budgets got larger, so did the humor, and it was really working. But I don't know, that's just another example of a low budget film with a sense of humor that really works in it. Now, the to blend in, I guess, with the humor, there are some gory scenes going on from 1982. Um, but they're um, the early 80s gore. So it's uh, as to say they're kind of ridiculous scenes that go too far. And at the same time, though, it adds a certain style to the film, or it allows Hen and Lauder to create this style. So to um, try and make it a little different than other horror films that you perhaps have seen recently at that time, perhaps. So I'm going to jump into the story here now. And what we have is a mysterious man named Dwayne Bradley, played by Kevin Van Hentenryck, who's got, like that up there, a basket. He's carrying around a basket and a load of cash, and at you know I think in his pocket. And he comes to New York City. He's not from there. He's from upper state New York. But he comes to New York City and he rents a room at the Broslin Hotel. Now, when you're first watching the film, you have no idea what's in the basket, which is really cool. So in the hotel, along with Dwayne, some of the major characters that you see, there's the hotel manager, played by Robert Vogel, who it appears he works the desk 24/7. You also have O'Donovan, played by Joe Clark, who I would suggest don't leave thousands of dollars laying around, or you could bring Belial. He'll help you out. And by the way, when Dwayne flashes that cash I was talking about, supposedly that was in fact the budget that they had for the film at the time. So that's pretty cool. And then you also have Casey as well, played by Beverly Bonner, who's both a friendly person and she dresses kind of friendly too. So then we come to learn that within the basket is in fact a Siamese twin of Dwayne named Belial that was actually attached to his body. So they were attached. Thing is, Belial is a freak or he's deformed. He's actually unable to speak. So when he is, he's just shouting out, like yelling. He's got a very aggressive temper going on, likes to kill. But he's on it, so he's unable to communicate vocally, but he's able to, um, le- with his brother, with his mind, like he's able to communicate with Dwayne, um, in that way. So what they're doing is they're killing off the surgeons that originally had separated the two of them when I think they were 12 years old. So they were pretty young, but still pretty old, though, to go through that kind of surgery. Now, Van Hentenryck, sorry, Van Hentenryck is quite good, I think, in this performance. And he really needs to carry the film because at times it's just him and the basket. And he's interacting with what's ever in the basket, and there's likely nothing in there. But he does a very good job in carrying the film and keeping it exciting for you and mysterious and all that. So he's doing a very good job with that. Now, yeah, he's the main role in the film, um, and he's kooky, strange, yet he comes across as almost harmless. Um, and at the same time, he's quite likable in that role. So that's very interesting. Um, Now, Belial, the character or the other half, the Siamese twin of Gawain, I would say they're not exactly the same character. They're very different. Um, Now, within the story, it certainly comes up with topics such as abortion, stuff like that. Because when they were born, they killed the mother off during the birth, I believe, and the father is rather upset about that, and now has this deformed child that he doesn't even think is human. Um, um, in the wake of the death of his wife. So now it's very cool seeing New York, 42nd Street and Times Square back in the early 80s. You see a few porno shops. From what I know, I don't live there, but from what I know, it looks very different now. There was a clean up, I guess, of the area, so it doesn't quite look the same. I don't believe anymore. But Henenlotter stated that 42nd Street had a seedy, wonderful atmosphere, and I do not deny that. There's other films I've seen with that same setting. For example, The Howling, the beginning of The Howling, it's got that setting as well, and it's definitely a setting of its own. It's very seedy, as he says. Now, a lot of great horror films do this, as well as Basket Case. Um, but I love how Belial is not shown for quite a while in the film. It's not like, oh, 5 to 10 minutes in, you see him, and there you go. Where in the sequels, that's exactly what would happen because you should already know this character from a previous film. And once he is shown, the director here, he's not afraid to show him in the light. He's not like, okay, we're going to cast a shadow or darkness over him, which would be interesting, but that's not the film Henenlotter is making here. I think he wants you to see Belial. He wants you to see his deformity and everything like that. So, um, yeah, the director, as wrote down, was able to show some style and able to put out some of the info about Belial and his brother before Belial comes out of the basket. So you know a bit about him before you see him as well, which is cool. So I like how Belial, he's either a puppet, they use stop motion in certain scenes, like when Dwayne, he's got this room he's got, which has it's just like a bedroom, but he leaves and Belial gets out of the basket and he loses his temper. He's causing shit. He's wrecking things. Stop motion was used there. So it was pretty cool because you don't really see a whole lot of that in a lot of films, but with this low budget, that's what they went with, and it was pretty cool. Or when you see the hand of Belial, it's an actor, and I think it was actually the director himself who was the hand of Belial. So that's interesting. They had different ways of showing Belial on the screen, and you're not told Belial's name until like halfway through the film um, as well. So it's like the writer director, Henenlotter here. He's actually almost, you could say this, like treating Belial like he's not your equal. Like it's not, we shouldn't think of him as your equal by not giving him perhaps the respect. Maybe I'm looking too deeply into that, and that's not the case, but it's that's just something I get in kind of not um, revealing his name. And when it is, it's just sort of like in a throwaway line. It's not, this big moment to remember where, okay, what is his name? I think it was the father or something in a line um, where we go back in the past and look at them as children. He calls him Belial or something, I believe. So it's kind of a throwaway line where his first name is mentioned, and then the name is then put into the script from there on in. Kind of interesting. I like that. And when they were kids and you see the operation going on, you gotta love it when they turn a dining room into an operating room. Oh, yeah. Um, Whew. Don't forget to wash your hands, okay? Now, Dwayne, in this film as well, he finds some love in the film as well with a character named Sharon. She's played by Terry Susan Smith. This is cool because at the time she was actually in a punk band and her head was in fact shaved. So she was in fact wearing a blonde wig in the film. So that's not her actual hair. Um, there are scenes where it does look like a wig, especially when they're sightseeing, and I think they have they're out New York sightseeing or whatever, so they're outside. Her hair looks really like a wig to me in that one, with what likely because the wind is blowing and it doesn't look oh so natural to me. But I thought that that was cool that her head was in fact shaved when she was in this film. And then as well, there's a scene where Dwayne is running down the street without a stitch of clothing on. Supposedly, this was performed without a permit. Uh-oh, you're not supposed to do that. So Dwayne had to run from a heated van down the street to another heated van. They would then drive around the block and do the same thing until they got all the footage that Henenlotter wanted for that scene. So that's cool. You gotta love guerrilla style filmmaking. Another one I had done that had stuff like that was Maniac from 1980. Really good, quite gory as well. But there was a shot or two in that there where they had no permits either. So that's it. But that's Basket Case. I really enjoyed that. I absolutely, definitely would suggest to watch that film. Be prepared for a low budget film. And hey, you might laugh too. Might find it interesting. But it's gonna be weird and kooky. So as I said, I will go over and watch the sequels, and I will give a review for those films at some point in the future here, and we'll work on those ones next. So until next one time, enjoy your horror movie watching.